Are you kidding me, Connor? Snoop Dogg? Mr. Hargrove's voice echoed through the narrow hallway of the Beverly Hills Hotel. Connor stood stiff, still wearing the concierge uniform, now sweat-stained and wrinkled, after rushing through traffic to help the rapper get his phone back. He left it in the Uber, sir. He needed it before his meeting. I figured, you figured wrong. Mr. Hargrove's eyes burned. You left your post. You abandoned your duty for some celebrity stunt. Connor clenched his fists, heart pounding. He had worked here for 9 months, never late, never slacked. This was what got him fired. I got his phone back. He thanked me. He even offered— I don't care what he offered, Mr. Hargrove snapped. This is a 5-star establishment. We don't chase after fame, we serve it. You're done. Turn in your badge. The words stung more than Connor expected. Fired, just like that, for trying to help someone. He left the lobby in a daze, uniform bundled under his arm, the city buzzing around him like static. Cars sped past on Wilshire. Tourists laughed outside a cafe. Connor walked, the weight of failure pressing into his chest. As he sat on a bus bench under the LA sun, watching palm trees sway in the smoggy breeze, he muttered to himself, I did the right thing, didn't I? If you've ever been punished for doing what felt right, subscribe and drop your thoughts in the comments. This story's just getting started. Connor didn't sleep that night. The ceiling fan in his studio apartment creaked with every turn. Bills sat unopened on the kitchen counter. Rent was due in 5 days. He scrolled through his phone again, half hoping the whole thing was a nightmare. No missed calls, no messages, except one, from a blue checkmark on Instagram. Snoop Dogg, yo lil man. You good? Holla back. Connor sat up. Was it really him? He tapped the message. Verified. Profile full of studio clips, weed jokes, collabs with everyone from Dre to Martha Stewart. He typed, then erased, then typed again. Hey, Mr. Dogg, I got fired today, but I'm all right. The reply came 2 minutes later. Man, that's cold. Slide me your number. I got you. Connor hesitated, then sent his number. What did he have to lose? 10 minutes later, his phone rang. Hiyo, this Connor? The voice was unmistakable, mellow, smooth, real. Yeah, it's me. You did me a solid, nephew. That phone had everything on it. You saved my ass. Ain't no way you gonna stay fired on my watch. Connor sat frozen. Wait, what do you mean? I mean, Snoop said with a low chuckle, you ever thought about working somewhere cooler than a hotel? Connor blinked. Like what? You'll see. Be ready tomorrow 10 a.m. I'll send the address. The call ended. And just like that, the worst day of his life cracked open into something entirely unexpected. Connor barely slept, again. But this time, it wasn't dread keeping him awake. It was curiosity. What could Snoop possibly want with him? At 9:57 a.m., he stood outside a black iron gate in Inglewood. A long driveway led to a sprawling stucco estate, white with gold trim, palm trees lining the walkway like silent guards. Music thumped faintly from somewhere inside, bass heavy, smooth. A tinted black SUV rolled up beside him, the window lowered. You Connor? Said a man in a Lakers jersey. Yeah. Hop in. Connor climbed in, heart racing. The SUV coasted down the driveway. Murals of hip-hop legends adorned the property walls. Tupac, Biggie, Nipsey. Then the car stopped in front of a detached building with glass doors and a sign that read, Thar Compound. Inside, everything smelled like cedarwood and weed. Gold records lined the walls. There was a recording booth, a gaming lounge, even a smoothie bar. Snoop sat at a long table, laughing with 3 guys in hoodies and chains. There he is, Snoop called, arms open like he'd known Connor forever. My man, Connor smiled nervously. This place is insane. You like it? Snoop said. Good, 'cause you're gonna help me run it. Connor blinked. Run? What? This whole thing. Content house, studio, brand hub. I need someone who can keep it together while I handle the big dog moves. Connor's head spun. He wasn't dreaming. He was being hired by Snoop Dogg. Still think getting fired was a bad thing? Snoop winked. Connor started the very next day. There was no job description, no uniform, just energy. From noon to midnight, Thar compound buzzed like a beehive. Artists dropped in unannounced. Photographers roamed with gimbals and cameras. Snoop moved through it all like a calm storm, cracking jokes, giving feedback, always 3 steps ahead. Connor quickly realized his job wasn't to manage, it was to adapt. One minute, he was ordering vegan catering for a shoot. The next, he was helping set up lights for a surprise Wiz Khalifa feature. "Stay cool, nephew," Snoop would say, "but stay sharp." And Connor did. Slowly, people stopped asking, "Who's the new kid?" He became part of the rhythm, present, helpful, invisible when needed, but there when it mattered. Still, at night, doubts lingered. Was he in over his head? Could he keep up with this world, one so far from everything he knew? Then came the podcast shoot. Snoop was being interviewed in front of a live camera crew. Halfway through, the producer's laptop crashed. Everyone froze. Connor stepped in. "I backed up the files earlier, just in case." Snoop raised an eyebrow. "For real?" Connor plugged in a hard drive. The files appeared. The shoot resumed. Later that night, Snoop clapped a hand on his shoulder. "See? That's what I'm talking about." Connor smiled, chest light. Maybe he hadn't just landed a job. Maybe he was finding something more. Connor sat alone in the booth after hours. The lights were low, monitors glowing. The walls of Thar compound were finally quiet. He pressed play. A new track played through the speakers, raw vocals, no beat yet. Snoop's voice, deeper than usual, rapped about losing friends, growing older, and trying to stay real in a world built on image. Connor listened, frozen. He wasn't just hearing lyrics. He was hearing a man's truth. "Didn't know you were still here," came a voice. Connor turned. Snoop leaned in the doorway holding 2 cups of tea. "Sorry," Connor said quickly. "I was just—" "You're good," Snoop interrupted, handing him a cup. "That one's special. Ain't even dropped it yet." "It's powerful," Connor said. Snoop nodded. "You hear the pain in it?" "Yeah," Connor said. "It's not what I expected." Snoop smiled faintly. "People think it's all smoke and jokes, but life's heavy, man. That's why we build places like this, so we don't drown in it." They sat in silence, sipping tea. Outside, LA traffic whispered in the distance. "I ever tell you why I mess with you, Connor?" Connor shook his head. "You didn't try to be cool. You tried to help. That's rare." Connor looked down, unsure what to say, but inside something clicked. Respect. Trust. A bond stronger than a contract. And for the first time since getting fired, he didn't feel like just a guest in someone else's world. He felt like he belonged. By week 4, Connor was handling everything, from bookings to gear rentals to last-minute coffee runs for Snoop's unexpected guests. He was thriving, until one Thursday afternoon, a man showed up at the front gate, suit, clipboard, stern face. "I'm looking for Connor Blake." Connor met him by the driveway. "That's me." "Trevor Wexler. I represent Hargrove Enterprises, your former employer. You violated your termination clause." Connor blinked. "What?" "You signed a non-disclosure and non-compete. Assisting celebrities outside authorized duties was a breach. Now you're working with one full-time." Connor's chest tightened. "Are you serious?" "We're pursuing damages," Wexler said, handing over a manila envelope. "You'll be contacted." As the man walked off, Connor stood frozen, envelope in hand. Behind him, the low beat of a new track thudded from the studio. Later that night, he sat on the compound's rooftop. The envelope lay unopened beside him. "You look like someone just told you Biggie's alive," Snoop said, appearing with his usual slow stride. Connor handed him the envelope. Snoop skimmed it, then chuckled. "They're scared, man." "Scared?" "They see you rising. That's how you know you're on the right track." Connor looked out at the city lights. "I don't have a lawyer. I barely had rent money a month ago." Snoop nodded. "You got me now. Let me handle this." It wasn't bravado, it was certainty. And in that moment, Connor realized He wasn't just protected, he was backed. Connor's mom called the next morning. "Connor, I got a letter from some firm. Something about you being sued? What's going on?" He sighed, pacing the kitchen. "It's not as bad as it sounds, Mum. Just my old boss trying to make noise. I don't like this. You worked so hard for that job. Now you're involved with a rapper?" "He's more than that," Connor said. "He believed in me when nobody else did." There was silence on the other end. Then, "I just want you safe, honey." "I am," Connor replied. "For once, I actually am." But he wasn't entirely sure. The legal papers were real. The threat was real. Even with Snoop's assurance, doubt began to creep in. Later that day, as he prepped the soundstage for an interview shoot, he overheard two producers talking. "He's the kid who got fired, right?" "Yeah. Snoop likes underdogs, but let's see how long that lasts." Connor kept moving, pretending not to hear, but the words stuck. That night, after everyone left, he stood in front of the mural near the compound's gate. Snoop, with headphones on, eyes closed, smile wide. Connor studied it, then whispered, "Am I really built for this?" A voice behind him answered, "Only one way to find out." It was Dr. Dre. He smiled, nodding slowly. "Snoop says you got heart. That's what matters." Connor stared at him, stunned. And just like that, doubt didn't vanish, but it had competition. 2 days later, Snoop called a staff meeting. Big names filled the studio's conference room. Executives, creatives, even a guy from Def Jam. Connor stood by the wall, unsure if he belonged. Snoop raised a blunt like a baton. "All right, listen up. We're launching a new vertical. Content for the underdogs. Real stories. Real grind. And I want Connor to run it." Connor's stomach dropped. "Me?" Snoop nodded. "Ain't nobody better. You lived the story." Murmurs filled the room. Some nodded. Others didn't look convinced. A woman in designer glasses leaned forward. "What's your vision, Connor?" Connor felt the heat. Cameras, lawyers, doubt. Then he spoke. "I want to feature people who get ignored. Kids who work overnight shifts and make beats on lunch breaks. Barbers who freestyle in backrooms. Talent from the corners of LA that never gets a shot." The room went quiet. "We show that success doesn't always wear chains or have label deals. Sometimes it rides the bus and it's still valid." There was a pause, then a slow clap. Dre, then Snoop, then the room joined in. After the meeting, Snoop pulled Connor aside. "You killed that, nephew. Told you. You belong here." Connor smiled. "I almost walked away last week." Snoop lit another blunt. "Good thing you didn't. Storms test the ones built to sail through them." For the first time, Connor didn't feel like someone Snoop was helping. He felt like someone he was building with. The launch was 2 days away. Connor barely slept. The content series, Corner Stories, had been shot, cut, branded. It was raw, real, and his fingerprints were all over it. But the lawsuit hadn't disappeared. Trevor Wexler called again. "You have 24 hours to settle or we file." Connor hung up without answering. Later that evening, he sat with Snoop in the green room, both watching the final cut of the pilot episode. A young girl from Crenshaw talked about recording tracks in her closet. Her voice shook with hope. "You did this," Snoop said softly. Connor exhaled. "They still might try to bury me." Snoop turned, eyes sharp. "You still think you're in this alone?" Connor hesitated. Snoop pulled out his phone and made one call. "Yeah, Kev, I need you to look at something." Kid's getting bullied by his old job. Connor didn't know who Kev was, but within hours his inbox pinged. Cease and desist invalid. Case dropped. Connor stared at the screen, mouth slightly open. Snoop grinned. "Sometimes you don't fight fire with fire. You just bring a bigger hose." Connor laughed, genuinely for the first time in weeks. The next morning, the pilot episode dropped. By noon, it hit 1.2 million views. And by nightfall, a young girl from Crenshaw had her first record deal offer. Connor looked around the studio where it all started. He didn't just find a job. He had built something that gave others a way forward. 3 months after the first episode of Corner Stories aired, Connor stood in front of a packed theater in downtown LA. The series had gone viral. Netflix had called. Snoop had backed a full production company under Connor's name, CB Media. The lights dimmed. On screen, a new episode began, this one about a former janitor turned poet. The crowd leaned in. Connor didn't watch the episode. He watched the audience, their faces, their reactions, their silence, their applause. After the credits rolled, he stepped up to the mic. His palms were sweating, but his voice was clear. "A year ago, I was working the night shift at a hotel. Got fired for helping someone when no one was watching. I thought it was the end." He smiled. Turns out, it was just the beginning. The crowd clapped. Snoop, seated in the front row with shades on and arms crossed, gave him a proud nod. Later, outside under the marquee lights, Connor's mom pulled him into a hug. "You proved them all wrong," she whispered. Connor looked back at the theater, his name lit up in white bulbs. But it wasn't the glow that struck him. It was the journey. He hadn't chased fame, he'd followed purpose, and somewhere along the way he found his voice and gave others theirs. The night wind rustled his jacket. He smiled, pulled out his phone and opened a new note. Title: Episode 1, Season 2. Because every end was just another beginning.